Is it legal? That being said, we want to dive into what I'm calling the tactical buyer psychology going into next year. The 4 reasons that tactical buyers are going to take the action, how to try to align some of your messaging with each one of these. And it's been really fun for me making the pivot for my group into the tactical world, going away from mainstream ecom. It's apples and oranges. It's so crazy the different psychologies and people back on this side, that this psychology behind why the people buy has kind of shifted so much since I've started doing all this. If we can understand the triggers and everything from social posts, your ads, emails, landing pages, the whole thing becomes a little more predictable. It's not really like a priority list here. The 4 reasons that your buyers are going to take action. First one is identity reinforcement. So people in this niche buy gear and services that align with who they believe they are. Like you have your defenders, prepared citizens, professionals, outdoorsmen. There's probably 2 or 3 others out there as well. Identity will kind of beat features initially, 9 times out of 10.
I've been focusing on this. I've been trying to identify my target avatars or avatar clients and figure out the message. I'm about to do a major rebrand on my website when I get time, because I'm kind of kicking off a second one.
That's good.
Trying to target more specifically, not to, right now, it's kind of like what I offer, who I am, and all my credentials, more to a who do they want to be?
Exactly. That question of who your avatar is, I have the conversations all the time, but I was just talking to someone today. It's really hard to figure that out, because when I did this for our groups, there's so many options. Even if you say, hey, I'm going to pick outdoorsmen, you feel like you're missing a huge group. You're losing a lot of possibility and revenue and stuff like that. It is hard to find. And the nice thing I've always said is, like, if let's just keep using outdoorsmen for example. If you say we're just going to stick with outdoorsmen, you can build that to have that revenue, build the company. Then you can go to find other people and branch out from there. Initially, sticking to one is pretty hard to do, very, very beneficial. It clarifies your whole messaging. You don't ever have to think like, how do I talk about this, or what do I make for this, or who do I talk to? It just laser focused.
Yeah, narrowing the avatars is kind of interesting. So I've got a set. Relentlessly narrowing that for my particular business is probably going to be best.
That's good. That's hard to do, but well worth the time. After you do that, like, the other thing here is what we're kind of labeled as authority validation. Like when you have an instructor, an expert, or a vetted creator, someone out there that who has a proven performance, the conversion, if that stuff comes first, conversions will, signups and sales will be super easy. Buyers don't want to look at options first. They want to look at who first, then get into the options. They want proof from someone who's already earned their respect in their head, or the brand's earned their respect. Super common. Go into any Facebook group when someone's looking to buy a new insert item here. They say, I'm thinking of buying this. What do you guys think? Or they do the searches on the back end themselves to see who's bought it and what they have to say. Third here is risk reduction. So in this space, every purchase carries a little bit of perceived risk. You look for durability, trustworthiness. Is it legal? Even personal safety. If you can remove friction from those points, show the durability, show that it is trustworthy, it's coming from a trustworthy source, whether it's the material or the person. If you need to show that it's legal, please do. Just reduce that friction when people are buying. Last here is kind of like the urgency, pairing that with justification, because not doing fake urgency, it kind of seems scammy. We respond to justified urgency, like limited runs, increases in operational lead times, seasonal relevance, actually real supply constraints. Your marketing should be rotating through those 4 triggers and trying to reinforce them across the different channels. The next big piece to dive into is why social proof drives this niche more than so many others. I think we all know that we're all very, very skeptical. A product comes out or someone says they like something, it's like beaten to death. We're skeptical by default. You're not buying a t-shirt or supplements or skincare here. So these decisions actually feel consequential, especially if you're gonna go buy a firearm for your everyday carry. You're going to be skeptical and have a lot of questions, need to know a lot of information. The high consequences here are something to think about. That's one of the big things why social platforms are super important, even though they throttle all of our content. I'm always pushing folks to get user-generated content, because if your content is getting throttled, shadow banned, or whatever, and your reach is 1% of your audience, make sure that it is super credible, that it's coming from a good source. There's obviously ways you can increase your reach and get around those things, but if you're getting throttled, then you need to make sure the content that goes out is perfect. That's one of the things that we always push, is find user-generated content, get that out there, and get the community to identify with you guys right away. Next bit to run through here is how we can break down some high-performing ads. And I'm actually going to share my screen and show off just a couple. I took a couple screenshots earlier today. Where's my screenshot? Bear with me a second. This is just like the bottom of one of our ads. I wanted to kind of show it's this one and this one. You'll see the correlation. We have this ad running for, is this 102 and 20? Yeah, so this is this dude here sells some really cool sharp stuff. These folks here make some equipment that takes care of the sharp stuff. You can see the huge amount of engagement and social proof. These were social media organic posts that we had to play with when we started doing some of these companies' ads. We can't claim a whole lot of responsibility for how successful these are. Now that we're able to grab these and use these as Facebook ads, it's hard to beat. We're throwing all of our graphics teams, creative thoughts, all my psychological principles and angles in these high engaging posts, beat it out every time. It's super common. We've dealt with this so many times. It's a great problem to have because this one, we put some other content against this. It lights these ones on fire. Having good social media, good engagement, organic post is absolutely pivotal for just even if you're not doing paid ads. Really push for engagement. That's kind of the main piece I'm getting at here. Next bit here, I kind of want to talk about how the dogs, authority, urgency, and identity kind of shape our purchasing behaviors. As we know here, this niche really respects the earned expertise. We'll go to talk to an instructor about something before we buy into influencer hype. So when you elevate your authority voices, you reduce the perceived risk. The objections will disappear before they're raised. That's the authority. So we get into talking about urgency, like I said a second ago, it has to be justified or else it just sounds fucking scammy. One example of this is if you're physically making something, I can only make 5 of these a week. Once I get more, my lead time is going to go from a week to 2 weeks. Letting people know that's the reason that the urgency is there. Like, get your order and I have space to make 1 more this week after I got to push it out a couple weeks. Instead of just saying, we're only making 5 of these, we're really making like 20 of them. That sort of stuff is, you can see through it, you can feel it. The next bit is the identity. I think that's going to be a pretty strong trigger going into next year because I feel that buyers want gear that helps them express who they are, who they're becoming, things like that. So a message along that line could be, this is for people like you, real broad conversation. This is for people like you preparing to do things you care about or things you love. Insert your product, your service here and get the idea there. Since we got a few guys on here, I do have a question. And take a second to think about it. If anyone's brave enough to answer, I want to hear. We just came through Black Friday. So if you've bought something in the last few weeks, like, can you think of what actually made you buy? Like, because that's what we're talking about now is like mindset and things like that. Like, there's something that you bought where you're like, I know why I bought this because like, trust this person, or I really, they only made 5 of these or something like that. Just fire off if you have any ideas.
I bought a crap load of TVs on Black Friday because I'm sitting at my little resort training destination, and Costco had some Black Friday deals and discounts for buying more, and I went out of there with a ridiculously large stack of TVs.
Okay. All right, so yours was like, FOMO, time dependent, also paired with a little bit of, price.
I need them, and here's some price motivation. Okay, let's stick into the pocketbook and make it happen.
Fair enough.
Nothing lately.
Fun to sit back, go back to your email inbox and type in order confirmation and see what happened. Like, why did I buy that? Like, I bought a bunch of crap around Black Friday, and I know that, I bought a couple things for these tactical fitness events that I do because I just needed to, up my train a little harder. So it was, that was my psychological reason for buying those things. Honestly, like the last thing I kind of want to is like how to actually adjust the messaging to hit these triggers. So these are kind of plugins you can adapt to, and I'll just kind of make a couple examples here. The first one being identity reinforcement, and I wrote this out based on like if you're making physical product or holsters or something like that, a message could real simply be built for protectors who train like their lives depend on it. So identity reinforcement, you're calling out the avatar right there, and then putting the attachment to the back end of that. Second one being the authority validation. So if it's another physical product that people are buying, you can say approved by instructors who run 1,000 rounds a week. Or if you have an instructor, you are an instructor, you use your name, how many people that you're training, people that trust your words and your actions. Next piece here is that risk reduction. So if you, again, I'm in the holster mindset this morning when I was writing all this stuff up. So, no slip retention, no hotspots, no surprises, backed by X number of reviews. So reducing all those possible objections and risks and friction points with that one sentence. Last one being urgency and justification, with justification. So, we just want Black Friday, right? So Black Friday ends tonight, out on our last sale of the year, that sort of deal. So make sure if you are going to push urgency, you give a real reason and not just because. So you can rotate these through some organic content for you to see which one works best with your audiences. That's pretty much the whole thing there. I mean, that you can funnel all these platforms into an email list, control the narrative, protect your turn. That's my biggest thing here is all your organic and paid efforts should push to an email list. And that's really it.